Oh boy! 7 years old, and this is my toy. An Erector Set. And the famous Ferris wheel from the Chicago World's Fair that I read a book on recently. So, what would you start doing when you open up the box on Christmas Day? What will you try to build? Simple things that are practical and then go for there? No, you go for the big boy. You try to build this. But guess what? Your dad forgot the instruction set. Or he didn't forget it. He bought this thing used and pretended that Santa scraped it on his sleigh. But it's a used Erector Set and it didn't have the instruction manual. So we used this picture, my dad and I, to try to build the thing. And the picture isn't quite right. So there were some mistakes along the way, and that causes some problems. I also learned that if you don't tighten the nuts and bolts very well, it doesn't work right. So this was a great interest to me to build this thing as a, well, it taught me a lot about structures and how you build with metal and things like that. And it also had an electric motor with this thing, which was cool. That electric motor had a little shifting gear. It shows how gears can shift and come up with different ratios of the gears. It showed how we could hook a pulley up to this thing, and if you shift into the wrong gear, the Ferris wheel turns real fast, which is very impractical, but it was very neat. Also, on the back side of this shaft was on the back side of the shaft was you could put a coupler on there and actually have a little teeny tiny record player which would play this tune. And it even has a little place here for the ticket taker, and it just was so cool. And this was something, this set that I got, was something that helped me understand all kinds of things. Now, there's some other really neat things. One thing, I built this elevator, which was as tall as a person, or at least as tall as me at that point in time. Okay, here's the instruction book. And here's one of the coolest things that you can imagine, a walking robot. These little legs that had wheels on them, metal wheels on them, and the electric motor was inside the body of this robot. And if you set the little shafts just right, the feet would move back and forth in a way that it actually moved forward. Now, if you got the shaft wrong, it wouldn't move anywhere, just kind of go back and forth. And one of the funny things that would happen is if you didn't get that right, then it would just crash to the ground. One of the things that I really learned in there was this thing called a square girder, where you took these flat pieces of metal and fit them into the channels of the flat pieces of metal, and you made this square girder, which was super strong. So that taught me a lot about how structures are put together. Now, there's one thing that was really cool, is that if you took this AC electric motor, made some square girders such that you would hold on to each of those square girders, it used the fact that if you have a coil of wire, which it used the motor for, so you actually hooked up to the plug of the thing, there was a little wheel that was in there that would make or break the connection. And what happens in an inductor, if you break the connection, there's nowhere for the current to go, so it turns into this whopping big voltage and it shocks you. Which I took the thing to school and had students go in a circle and you hand one of the handles to one person on one end of the circle, and to the other end of the circle, and you'd get it to shock everybody in that circle. And I was quite the scientist celebrity at school. And this was probably, well, it had to be somewhere around second or third grade. Another thing that I made, which was really neat, was make a windmill, have some flat pieces of metal on there so it looked like a windmill, and then what I would do is hook it up to the back pulley, and it was the rotating shaft on the motor, and it would go super fast. Not what you're supposed to do, but it's a lot more fun to do the things you're not supposed to do. Oh, I made a little car. I put the electric motor in the car and then had it drive through a series of gears, drove the wheels on there, either regular wheels, which were designed that way, or put a gear as a wheel, which would dig into the carpet and sometimes pull loops out of the carpet and make my parents mad. It was such an inspiration for so many years. It's one of the greatest toys I ever had because I was still using it. Well, I even used it to make some pieces for a set in a college play during my freshman year. So it was something that was always with me. I gave it to my son, and unfortunately, he had to leave that behind when he moved out of his mom's house.